So, as a
Yeah.
former coach of a Division One college team, are there are a lot of people who report to you. What leadership skills do you feel are valuable in your position?
Well, I think the hardest thing that you need to do, and maybe not the hardest, it might be more of at the beginning a role, but you need to establish a culture. I think in leadership, a culture that everybody buys in to what you're trying to achieve. And if you can come up with the right purpose and you have clear expectations of everybody's role, I think it's a starting point to your question that if you can establish that early, then when hiccups come up or when there's setbacks or even when there's success, um, if you can develop that, then everybody's on the same page. I think as a leader, if you establish that and you live that, then folks that are looking at you to lead, um, they know why they're playing. They know why they're working. They know why they're in that environment because you establish that early and you establish that culture for that program, whether it's sports or business or a law firm. It's still going to be the culture that you have expectations. So, for instance, um, the way you dress, the way you travel, the way you speak to each other, uh, they don't happen in irrelevant from each other. They happen because what the expectations are, and that's established early. So I believe that's a big part of whatever we do in leadership.
I definitely couldn't agree more with that. And I think that's a very important aspect to bring out and not one that most people usually recognize when they immediately think of a leader. So, how would you define a leader or leadership?
Well, I would I would like to think that as a leader, there's a calmness when the waters are really rough, and anybody can lead when things are good. But when that happens and things are rough, I think if you have those clear goals and you can be the calm, then people start to look to you and they start to take that on that we're going to be fine. So I like the idea of motivating. I think you need to be always a good listener. Um, I don't think decisions are always the most popular, but you can make those decisions if you're the calm in the storm at when people are coming to you or you're working with people in all different areas. So I really think that that's the kind of thing to have a plan. And if you have that plan and you're a good leader and you have integrity and you motivate and you're a good listener, I, I think that's when it works the best. I think that's when you can really be valuable. And that's the kind of leader that I would want to be. And I hope that I've been.
There are many characteristics that leaders possess, and the ability to inspire others is one of them. How has your ability to inspire others helped you in your endeavors as a leader?
Well, when it comes to thinking about when you say inspire others and what the talks I've done and the people I've been around, I think my one thing has always been not to let people outwork you. And I don't say that you can always get there, but if you put in the effort and you put in the time and you work at something, I really believe that it's something that you can feel good about. And if you can feel good about what you're doing, I think you can rise to the occasion. The other thing is I've always been a big believer in inspiring of asking people and maybe nudging people to get out of their comfort zone. There's a comfort zone that when you get to a certain point, you think you're there. You think that that's where it is. I always felt like I was a guy that looked at the next step. Not that I had to have the best and the brightest and all that. That's not what I mean. But I mean, even as far as players go, and they get to a certain level, well, they could probably be even better what they do in the off season, what they do in the beginning. If you're in a business, you may be able to make, I worked in a manufacturing plant, I've worked in advancement, and you can get so far and you can start to feel comfortable. I think the inspiration comes from if you can find another way to continue to develop those gears and to get out of the comfort zone with individuals, I think once they do it, they're really proud of it. But to do it is not always easy. And I think a leader can help with that motivation.
What obstacles have you overcame to get to where you are today?
I grew up on the east side of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and a wonderful childhood and a great place. But we didn't have a whole lot. There was 8 of us in our family, one bathroom, one tub. Everybody in the neighborhood know each other. Everybody knew who the kids were. You couldn't get in trouble because they would call and tell your mom you're up at the corner. So I was very isolated. Again, wonderful, but I was very isolated where I was. I think what happened when I went to college, which I was the first generation in my family, and only one to go. When I did that, it opened up a whole lot of things. And again, I wouldn't change it for the world. My family's incredibly talented in what they do, but I was the one who went to college. And I think going to school, Kate, I left school about a month in at Bucknell and I went home. At those days, you asked your parents what thumbing it means. I put my thumb out, I got a ride on Route 15 and I went home, and I was never coming back to school. I just didn't fit in. I didn't have the vocabulary. I don't think I had the smarts. I was up against it. I knew I could play ball, and that's what I was there for. And I think that was the hardest thing I've ever done, is to fit in and to learn how to study and learn how to read and learn how to do things that wasn't intuitive to me. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud that I ended up getting my master's, getting a degree, and yet I'll always be the kid from the east side. But I feel like that was a challenge that, as I said at the beginning, maybe it was a plus because I had the greatest family and the greatest parents in the world, but we didn't have a whole lot. So it's always been very, I think it's always been very, very humble for me to what we've been able to do and what we have. You only get to where you are because of others. And don't let anybody ever forget that, no matter who's lecturing or who's talking, a leader, a president, a coach, but there's always other people that have helped you get there as well. And if you ever forget that, then you're fooling yourself. So it's something to always remember.